Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Resident _of Collinwood for BitChute. And, I'm here to do a video. Sorry. I'm here to do a video about Predator 2. I was gonna do sequel versus original, but instead, I decided to do why I think Predator 2 is very underrated. It's easy to look at the original film and say, oh, it's the best. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger, it has Jesse Ventura, it has Carl Weathers. But in fairness, if you're looking at John McTiernan's Predator and then you look at Predator 2, Predator 1 had a bit of noir in it. It had gore in it, it had violence, it was action horror. To me, Predator 2 brings a lot more than noir to it as well. It brings even more noir. And, is Danny Glover Arnold Schwarzenegger? No, no, he's not. And he's not going to be mistaken for Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, again, what Predator 2 introduces to me is the Predator really underestimating his opponent in Danny Glover. Here's this smart, streetwise detective who's been on the force for years and years. He has seen the shit. And you gotta remember, by the time Predator 2 rolls around, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't exactly returning their phone calls to do this movie. He was too busy doing Kindergarten Cop. But, which is amazing. They Predator has an interesting history. If you go look in the franchise, they've never gotten anybody from the franchise to ever really come back in front of the camera, which is crazy because usually with franchises that involve horror characters, you usually do see somebody come back. But no, Predator was that exception. So they cast Danny Glover in this role of a detective, of a streetwise detective. And they got Gary Busey, Gary goddamn Busey. Give him credit too, because when this film was made, when Predator 2 was made, this was his first film back from a motorcycle accident that pretty much killed him, and then they resuscitated him back to life. So Predator 2 was his first film back, coming back from that, which is amazing to me. Predator 2, another thing Predator 2 doesn't get enough credit for, it inspired a moment in another film that I love, Ghost in the Shell, the original anime film, 1995 anime film. There's a sequence where the Predator, where King Willie is meeting with the detective played by Danny Glover, and Danny Glover's character leaves, and King Willie is still standing in the street, and the Predator comes down and he lands in the water, and as he starts walking, you see the electrodes and the water splashing. When you go watch the 1995 Ghost in the Shell movie, you see the similar effect. You don't see I don't think you see the electricity, but you do see the footprints coming, hitting the water and splashing. Ghost in the Shell copied that from Predator 2. They got that from Predator 2. As much as I love the 1995 Ghost in the Shell film, they took that from Predator 2 straight up. So I think Predator 2 gets some unwarranted heat that it's not deserved to me. Look, you can't fault a franchise just because somebody, a big star like Arnold Schwarzenegger, didn't come back. It just, look, nobody came back. They couldn't even get Danny Glover to come back to this franchise. The Predator franchise in itself has had an interesting history. Think about it. There's only 4 films that you can watch. There's a shitload of comics you can go read, which I highly recommend. Actually, Predator 2, it takes from the comics in a sense. The Predators at the end give Danny Glover's character a Spurlock, a pistol, which is a reference to the comics. So that actually happens in the comic books because the Predators have been around for a long time, hunting through different time periods on our planet. So, or different moments in time, I should say. Not different time periods, but different moments in time. And I think that's something, and I love the, even though the Alien versus Predator movies weren't exactly stellar, you do got to give Predator 2 this. It did lay groundwork for the Alien versus Predator movies by introducing the xenomorph skull on the Predator ship. It is a Predator, after all, collects trophies, right? I love Predator 2. To me, Predator 2 is my favorite sequel out of the Predator franchise. I don't love 3. 3 is okay, I just don't love it. I felt it was more, to me, it's not so much a sequel, it's more of a, I wouldn't call it a remake of the original, I would call it a retelling of the original. They take the concept of the original was a group of special forces they thought they were on a rescue mission. In the retelling of these events, in the third film, you have a group of random people who don't know each other but all have unique backgrounds. One's a criminal, one's a murderer, one's a rapist, one's this, one's that, one's an ex-soldier. They all have a unique history, and they're thrown together. So, and Lawrence Fishburne is actually a nice surprise in a nice surprise in that movie, though. So I don't love 3 because 3 to me is more of a retelling. 4 is a sequel, and to me 4 wasn't that great. So 2 doesn't get enough credit for me. Look, when you look at 1 honestly, Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to do something like the Magnificent Seven, and he knew deep down Hollywood. You got to think about the time. Arnold was big in the 80s, right? And in the 90s. Well, in the 80s, they weren't exactly shelling out westerns. And he did want to do one, but they weren't shelling those out. Yeah, the westerns were still being made if you were Clint Eastwood, because he could make them and make money with them. But they weren't going to put Arnold in a western. He wanted to do something like the Magnificent Seven. Here comes John McTiernan with a hell of a movie in Predator, and well, there you have it. He's cast as the lead role because he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is after the first Terminator movie, and he's put with a very, very good cast. Jesse Ventura, Carl Weathers. The list goes on and on. But there's just a shitload of people in that movie. But I think with Predator 2, the one thing it doesn't get enough credit for is it follows a movie that was so good. Look, it's not always about everybody wants the sequel to top the original. Okay, you could only maybe name me a handful that have actually maybe come close to doing that or have done that. Depending on how you view The Godfather 2, right? Or maybe Aliens, for Alien, but Terminator 2, there's only so many. Okay? I'm not saying those are the only ones. I'm just using those as core examples. For me, Predator 2, I like it. It's a good movie. I've given it a solid, 9 out of 10. Is it perfect? No. There's things I wish they would have done in the film. Again, I'm a noir person as well, and I love the noir they do. I just don't feel they do enough of it for the actual movie. I wish they would have done more of, there is investigation into this shit, but again, they're also investigating the gang members and the killings that are going on, and if they're gang related or not. They just don't do enough. Keys, again, there's a lot of quick focus points in Predator 2, and that's my one issue with it. There's too many quick focus points. There's not enough focus on this or that. It's just the focus is scattered because there's so much going on, which is a part of the movie in a sense, and I don't mind that, so I don't shit on it. It's just I wish they would have picked more did more focus with all these characters, not just Keys, but they did include Ken Willie, they did include Predator. Again, they had a lot going on, so I guess they had to do it that way with all the characters they were introducing or had. You had Ken Willie, you had Keys, you had the Predator, you had the gang warfare, so you had a lot of shit going on in the film, which makes sense. It's just I wish they would have sort of slowed the noir down a little bit. It was very fast paced noir, as well, I'll say, I guess. And again, I don't mind that, but I just wish there would have been a little more focus on individual things each time. You know what I mean? That's just my preference. I'm just ranting, but not ranting, just talking. But I do think Predator 2, another part of it I love is all the really cool effect scenes in the beginning where Predator just wipes out the drug the drug cartel, and then wipes out the Ken Willie's people in the hotel in the penthouse, just takes them the fuck out. The kill scenes are really good in it. I mean, it's very bloody, it's very gory, it's everything you would want in a sequel. It did not get a returning cast member. And look, can that affect the franchise? And has it affected this franchise most of all? I think overall it affected this franchise because they couldn't get anybody to come back. And when people who starred in the original or even in the sequel aren't really willing to come back or coming back, it sort of makes you look at that franchise and raise eyebrows. I do hope, because I do feel they're just going to end up rebooting the Predator one day when they reboot this franchise, and I hope they do. They make it as good as the first two films. I really enjoy the first two films most of all. Again, I think two does not get enough credit, and I've given the things two did really well. You go look, I've said it. Ghost in the Shell, a film I love to death, the anime movie. It took something from Predator 2. So, to me, it's not always. With certain franchises, it's not always about who comes back, it's about who you can get. And it's not like Danny Glover is a bad actor. He's a really, really good actor, great actor. He was, most people are going to point out Lethal Weapon. I'm going to point out even more. How about Silverado? How about Lonesome Dove? He was in Lonesome Dove, another Western. Um, the Witness, I do believe, or not The Witness, I forget that movie with Harrison Ford where he goes like to the Amish farm, and actually Danny Glover's a villain in the film. I forget the name of the movie though. But it might be The Witness. I don't know. I'm old. Okay, I'm old. God damn it. So, Switch. I believe it's Switchback. Yeah, but he was in a ton of movies that were really good, and he played in action movies where he was really good. I don't feel Danny Glover gets enough credit for Predator 2. Look, going into that situation, name me another actor you would have tried to replace him with. I mean, think about what everybody's doing at this time, and by the time this movie's made, everybody was probably busy. I love the fact that they did a noir story with Predator because they did it in LA. It made a lot of sense. I enjoy Predator 2. Again, I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's really good. of course, I think the original is really, really good too. I've given it a 10. But again, just because when people look at Predator 1 and Predator 2, I think a lot of people look at Predator 2 like the redheaded stepchild. I don't. I think Predator 2 holds its own in many, many ways. And I've said that to nauseum. Look, Predator 2, to me, is a lot better than what people give it credit for. And I'll stand by that to the day I die. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I haven't just rambled on and on and on. I'm sorry if I have. I feel like with certain franchises, look, I get the expectation of them. Okay, I get that you want the next film to be as good as the original or be as good as the last. And I do feel Predator 2 was really, really good. I think it holds its own in the franchise. And I love a lot of the things they did in the film. There's some things I didn't like, and I've pointed some of that out, but for the most part, I love the movie for what it is. It's a really good noir action horror story. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on Predator 2. I'm pretty sure I did a Predator 2 review. I'm not sure. Again, I'm old, so I'm forgetful. I guess I'll find out when I go to upload this video if YouTube lets me upload it under the title of Predator 2. Alright guys, I'll see you.